paddleboard all secured. So excited to bring this back. Whew. I think we're ready to go back to Hawaii. So check it out, this is the brand new DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro, and it looks pretty similar to the Osmo Action 4 here, so there's not much changes in terms of design. We have the same mounting options on the bottom, we have the same buttons, we also have the same doors here for the SD card and the battery and the USB-C port. So most of the changes to the Action 5 Pro lays within the camera, which means that you can use all the older accessories coming from the Action 3 and the Action 4. So even Action 2 here, I have the bracket for the Action 2. I can use that with the Action 5 Pro here, so now it sits securely on that. And also the same thing goes for batteries. You can use the batteries from the Action 4 and the Action 3 and just put it in the Action 5 Pro. And if you already have those, you will have a bunch of batteries ready already, which means you only need to buy the Action 5 Pro as a standalone camera. But what's new to this is that we do have an optimized 4nm chip, which is giving us that improvement in low light. And we also have 13.5 stops of dynamic range now, which also gives us more flexibility in post, especially if you want to color grade your footage, which is shot with the D-Log M 10-bit color profile, or if you just feel like, yeah, I'm not gonna color grade this footage, you can just use 10-bit HLG or the 10-bit normal color profile. And if you want to save some storage by lowering the file sizes, you can also easily drop down to 8-bit now to minimize those file sizes. Now we also have a brand new 40 megapixel photo option here in the 4:3 aspect and 36 megapixels in 16:9 horizontal and vertical. And this is a huge boost up from the Action 4 here, which only had 12 megapixels, or according to DJI it was 9.98. Now, when it comes to field of view with the Action 5, we do have the same 155 degree, which is equivalent to 9mm. But new to the Action 5 is that we now have a distortion control, which will remove some of that distortion you see in the edges when you're using the widest field of view. So here's a comparison with the GoPro Hero 13's widest field of view, and I mean, when you first see the distortion, the massive distortion on the GoPro Hero 13, it's really hard to unsee it. So DJI did really do a fantastic job on this part. Now we also have high dynamic low light imaging now, and also a new super night video mode, which I will talk to you about in a sec. But with the improved sensor and the new 4nm chip here, this has got a huge boost in low light performance compared to something like the Action 4 here, which didn't really perform that well unless you used the manual settings, maybe D-Log M 10-bit as well, and then captured videos with minimal movements. Another upgrade we have now is that we have 47.8 gigabytes of internal storage along with the dedicated SD card slot. So if your SD card slot runs out on the next hike, for example, you can just change over to the internal storage by swiping down on the screen, then to the left, and you will see the two options which you can change between. You can also format the SD card and the internal storage on this section. And this is something a lot of us have been asking for years now, I guess. So it's really nice to see that DJI is adding this, and the fact that we get as much as 47 gigabytes and not 8 or 32 gigabytes just adds to the overall benefits. We also have some improved batteries now, so compared to the Action 4, we now have 1950 milliamp hour batteries, up from 1770, which we had on the Action 4, and this will give you approximately 240 minutes of 1080p 24 FPS videos and 210 minutes in 4K 30 FPS. And of course I had to test this myself, so in 4K 30 FPS both indoors and outdoors I was able to record continuously for 2 hours and 45 minutes, which is pretty impressive. Now when it comes to overheating, which usually isn't a problem with the DJI products, you know, this thing just didn't want to let go. So I placed this in the direct sunlight at a beach in Hawaii, and I think I had to stop it after like an hour or something because I was just too bored. It's one of the most boring tests I do, but I think it's also relevant when you're buying a new action camera. You want it to run as long as possible no matter environment. So after an hour or so I just took it out on the paddleboard instead, which, you know, was much more fun than just sitting there watching this record a normal video. Now when it comes to audio on the Action 5, this is also compatible with the DJI Mic 2 of course, but the difference now is that you can actually use two mics similar to what we saw with the Pocket 3. So if you're doing an interview or maybe you have a dual vlog or something, you can actually pair up two sets of the DJI Mic 2 transmitters, which will capture both the vocals at the same time. And there's also a built-in audio backup which records ambient sounds to add a richer layer of audio to your video. It's just amazing. Now to test this out, I'm doing a quick ride to the store. I have one mic transmitter inside my helmet here, and the other one is in the pocket close to my exhaust. And if you're riding a motorcycle, you know why this is close to the exhaust. So yeah, this is basically what it sounds like. Let's do a regular audio test with and without the microphone. Now when it comes to the audio coming from the Action 5 Pro, it has 3 microphones and they have been optimized since the Action 4. So this is the audio coming from the built-in microphones on the Action 5 Pro. And compared to the built-in microphones on the Action 5 Pro, this is what it sounds like when you have the DJI Mic 2 transmitter connected to the Action 5 Pro wirelessly, and when the Mic 2 is not sitting inside a helmet. We also have the same stabilization options as before. So we have Rock Steady, Rock Steady Plus, Horizon Balance, and Horizon Steady. So I'm now using Horizon Balance, which will crop in a little bit, but allows you to rotate the camera up to a 45-degree angle and still keep that horizon level. If you want to have the horizon level no matter how you turn the camera, you can also apply Horizon Steady, which will allow you to rotate the camera 360 degrees and the horizon will stay level no matter what. But for this you will have to drop down to 2.7K up to 60 FPS. Now we also have a bigger screen now on the Action 5 Pro, which is always appreciated. And the differences here is that the Action 5 Pro does now have a dual OLED screen compared to the LCD screen which we had on the Action 4. And something new that has also been added because of this new OLED screen is that we have this feature called Always On Display. So when you go into settings here and down to Always On Display, you can actually set this to show how long you've been recording for and also what type of resolution you're recording in. The same with frame rates, stabilization, and also the field of view you're using, which is, I mean, it looks amazing. So on the front here, we also, just to mention that color temperature sensor, which is sitting right here, and this basically gives you more accurate white balance, and especially when you go from below to above water or from above to below water. And this is the same thing as we see with the Action 4, but the difference here is that it's been further optimized on the Action 5 Pro. Now we have something called subject tracking as well as super night, which I mentioned earlier. So for subject tracking, it will allow you to record a video of a subject, and that subject will always stay centered in the frame. No matter how you move the camera, well, to a certain degree, it will keep your subject in the frame, but this is fantastic if you shoot vertical videos. Just look at this clip right here. I'm filming my son just sitting in the van, and you can see how much movement I'm doing to the camera, and I'm shooting this in the vertical aspect of the subject tracking. And if I put the actual video, the final video next to that, you can see how crazy this is. So as long as you have the person within the frame of the camera here, within the screen of the camera, it will actually crop in and adjust the image so that person always stays centered. And for, like I said, vertical videos, this is a game changer. So let's say you want to shoot a video of a person hiking and you want that person to stay in frame throughout the entire video, or maybe only for a few seconds, but you know, you realize that what you're walking on is pretty slippery terrain and the camera is gonna be, you know, all over the place. And as long as you manage to keep the camera towards the subject or the person you're filming, you know, the camera and the tracking and the adjustments, everything will be done for you. You know, even when taking a video of my son here at the beach, I barely had to turn the camera. It's lazy awesome, I would say, but mostly awesome. Now, there is one limitation though, which is that you are limited to 2.7K resolution for now. I would love to see 4K just give you that more quality when it's cropped in. But honestly, 2.7K for social media, even here on YouTube, even when you look it back on your phone or just, you know, on a flat screen TV, it's gonna look pretty darn good anyways. Now let's move over to the next feature here, which is the Super Night shooting mode on the Action 5 Pro. Enhanced, improved, and better low light capabilities. We have resolution up to 4K 30 FPS, and we also have stabilization options like Rocksteady and Rocksteady Plus. And we also have two options to change between in terms of lens type, so we can use D-Warp or wide. So let me show you a sequence that I shot with the Action 5 Pro and the Super Night video mode in Hawaii, and let me include some footage from the Ace Pro and the Action 4 and also the GoPro Hero 13 as well, so you can get an idea of what these cameras look like. Let's have a look. Now, as for normal videos, we have 4K up to 120 FPS in 16:9 and also in 4:3 now, which is something we didn't have on the Action 4. And this basically gives you the option to shoot, you know, wider videos and have more flexibility in post. So it will take the full advantage of the image sensor, and you can then go in and crop the footage a little bit how you want in post. Now, there's also a new feature called Super Slow Motion now, where the camera will generate a 4x frame interpolation clip up to 960 FPS, and the resolution of that clip is going to be 1080p. So similar to the burst slow motion on the GoPro Hero 13, but there is a difference in resolution here and also frame rate, where the Action 5 Pro has a frame rate up to 960 FPS. The GoPro does only have a frame rate up to 400 FPS and is generating a clip at 720p, where the Action 5 is generating a clip at 1080p. So a little bit more resolution on the Action 5, also twice the frame rate as we have on the GoPro Hero 13. Now, to enable this super slow motion on the Action 5, there is a snail icon on the screen here. So when you go into a clip which is recorded at 100 or 120 FPS, you can basically select where you want this to be added and then select the snail icon, and the camera will generate that clip. But you can also use the Mimo app if you want to generate this clip and also have a bigger screen real estate, so it's easier to maneuver around and get the exact framing correctly. Now, of course, if you just want to do that basic slow motion, we still have the normal slow motion mode with 4K up to 4x slow motion and 1080p up to 8x slow motion. Another advantage with the Action 5 Pro here over the GoPro Hero 13 is that you're able to record these videos in a 10-bit with the Action 5, where on the GoPro, you're actually limited to 8-bit. Now, when it comes to color profiles with the Action 5 here, like I mentioned in the beginning, we have normal, HLG, and D-Log-M 10 bits. But what's new now is that we also have this color overlay, which is pretty cool actually. So when you enable this, you will see a more colorful screen instead of having that flat look we were used to on the Action 4 when using D-Log-M. And this basically gives you a better indication of what the video will look like if you use the D-Log-M color reproduction in the DJI Mimo app, or if you color grade the footage yourself. Now, the next features are something that divers and hikers will love, and I've been testing these for quite some time now, and it's been just amazing. This is the first ever action camera to have a dedicated built-in pressure gauge, which tells you exactly how deep you are in the water and also how long you've been down there for. And the cool thing about this is that you can enable so the camera starts recording automatically when it's submerged below 1 meter or 3.3 feet. And when you're done with your dive, you can also have this set to like 5 seconds, for example. So when you pull it out of the water, it will automatically stop recording that video after 5 seconds. Or if you just want to continue recording, you can also just set this to never. Now, as of depth, the Action 5 Pro is also waterproof down to 20 meters now, so an additional 2 meters from the Action 4, which means there's basically no need to buy a dive case if you're gonna keep this, you know, for free diving or snorkeling or, you know, basic water activities. Now, in the same section here, we also have a new feature for hikers and skydivers. I don't personally do much of that skydiving, but hiking is a huge part of my life. So when you enable this altitude display here, you'll get this indicator on the left-hand side of your screen, which will tell you how high you are. And what's cool about this is that you can actually use this data as overlays on your videos. So when you're done shooting your videos, whether this is below water or above water, hiking, parachuting, you can actually go back into the Mimo app and then select the videos you recorded, and then you can add these data stats as overlays to your videos. So I'm checking out these rocks to see if there's anything interesting down there, and if I want to display the water depth, for example, I can select the dashboard icon here and then select water depth, and on the bottom left corner here you can see that we have a depth of 4.4 meters. And you can also add overlays like date and time, and also a timer to see how long you held your breath for example, or just how long the camera has been underwater. Now also, if you like hiking, you can do the exact same thing. You can go in and you can add this height indicator to your videos along with the time and date and so on, and you can basically just share with people what the altitude of your hike is, and also, you know, the time and date if you prefer to do that. Now, when it comes to available overlays though, some overlays do require GPS, so you would need a GPS remote to do that, because there's no GPS built into the Action 5 Pro here. This is only GPS compatible with the GPS remote. Now, there's also another new feature with the DJI Mimo app, and this is the option to export live photos, which you might be familiar with if you own an iPhone. But this is basically a photo that comes to life and shows a short video when you press hold on the image here. So here I have an image of me free diving, and so it sits still, and when I press hold on it, you can actually see that it shares this short video, and you can just do that as many times as you want, and you can also loop it and so on. So this is really useful if you want a photo and you want a video from one of the same clip, but you don't want the videos to be long. So instead of going through the entire video and then trim out certain sections of short videos and then export, you can actually go through now and you can just take a live photo, which will include a photo and a video. As for snapshots or grabbing a still image from a video file, this is where DJI has really improved now. So not only can you add the different overlays to your photos as well, but as you take a snapshot from a video file, that photo will actually be closer to the actual quality that the video was shot in. So if the video was shot in 4K, the snapshot image that you grab from that video will actually look closer to 4K resolution than what we had previously. Now, as of accessories, we also have a new multifunctional charging grip here with 4900 milliamp hour battery, which also has these feet here, so you can set it down and use it as a tripod in case you want to shoot a time lapse, or you know, just want to shoot some videos but don't want to hold the camera. Now, I've been using this for a few weeks now, and the biggest advantage with this is that you basically have 2.5 of these Action 5 Pro batteries inside the grip here. So if you're going on a 1-day trip, there's basically no need to bring any extra batteries, because this will keep it running for that entire day, maybe even 2 days. And as for price, this is only $99 US, which I think is quite reasonable for what you get. But I do wish you had that, you know, extended selfie stick, which we have on these normal selfie sticks, so you could extend it a little bit, because it feels like it's a little bit short. But you know, if you have longer arms, or if you just reach out a little bit, or if you use the ultra wide field of view, this is not going to be a problem at all. But maybe for the next version, we have an included selfie telescope stick here on this one. I would really like to see that. Now, as for comparison, I will do my in-depth comparison with the cameras like the GoPro Hero 13, the Action 5 Pro, and the Ace Pro, and so on. So make sure to hit that subscribe and like button and turn on notifications so you don't miss that video, because honestly, I don't think you want to miss that video. So there you have the Action 5 Pro in a nutshell. Let me know your favorite features out of everything that's new with this camera in the comments below, and also do me a favor and hit that subscribe and a like button. That would be highly appreciated. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.